Hey Familia, Igni here. The rest of the Starforged Legends cards have been revealed. All of them are now out, and there's a lot of them to talk about, so let's just get started. Demonogram, 2 play.22, Silver for Blood, Fanfare. Whenever your leader takes damage during your turn, restore 2 defense to your leader until this follower leaves the area. I think this is actually super powerful. It's a 2 play.22, so the worst fail case is a vanilla minion, and if you can combo it with Bloodwolf, Blood Pact, Razor Claw, you end up having a powerful effect, but not taking the penalty of taking damage in your health. I think this is actually super good. And you can even combo it with stuff like, say, Blood-Fed Flower Bed, and heal up. Chain of Calling, 2 play point, gold spell for Rune, put a random Runecraft follower from your deck into your hand. It's a good tutor for neutral Rune. You can just pull your specific Runecraft followers from your deck with this, which is pretty insane. And it's also good in D-Shift, because it's a draw card that's spell boost. I think this card is just good. I think there's no way that this card isn't good. I mean, 2 play point tutor for a class that uses spells to bolster their other effects. And in neutral Rune, this could also just be super effective too, to pull stuff like Felice specifically. Yeah, this is powerful. Airbound Barrage, Forestcraft Bronze, 1 play point spell. Return an allied follower or an amulet to your hand, then deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. This card can be played when both a targetable allied card and enemy card are in play. So it's actually a targeted damage, and this actually makes Spring Green protection a little bit better, right? Because you can send it back, but more likely it's just going to be another Roach Bouncer, which is insane, making Roach more consistent. And the card itself, 1 play point, deal 3 damage after a bounce, in itself is already quite good, even if you're not just comboing stuff. Like, you can just like plop a fairy down and use it as a removal. Hresvelgr, 5 play point, 4/4 silver for Shadow. Whenever another allied follower is destroyed, draw a card. It's like a cheaper Necropolis Queen. I don't think it's what Shadow needs at 5. I think it's sort of it's a slow effect that doesn't seem that necessary. Shadow has better draw effects, I think, so I don't really expect this one to see play. Avowed Strike, 3 play point, Rowan card, gold. Deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals the number of other Dragoncraft cards in your hand. Enhance 7, Pot of Greed, and deal damage 2 times the number of other Dragoncraft cards in your hand instead. I think if you're able to take advantage of the variable damage and deal a lot of damage with this, it's just going to be super good, obviously. And the Enhance 7 also draws the cards first and then deals the damage equal to the Dragoncraft cards in your hand. So, yeah, that could actually be pretty good for refilling your hand and also removing a threat. So, yeah, I think this one could actually definitely see play. I also like that it has Rowan in the card art. Star Reader Stella, Runecraft Legendary, 2 play.21. At the end of your turn, randomly put one of the following cards into your hand. Venus, Pollux, Star Phoenix, Castor, Scorpius, or Andromeda. I think this card is actually super good. It's a 2 play.21 that can consistently give you cards if you keep it alive, and if not, it still gives you a card advantage. And the cards that you get are actually quite good, especially in controlling rune decks. So let's take a look. We already saw Andromeda, but let's take a look at the others. Pollux, 5 play.44, Bronze Sword Officer. Fanfare, evolve this follower if there is an allied non-swordcraft follower in play. Weirdly enough, better in a rune deck with Stella than it is in Sword itself, because I don't think you can find room in Sword to run this in the 5 slot. But if you can get this off Stella, and then just play this and have a 6/6 with Rush for 5, that's not bad at all. Castor, 4 play.23, Bronze for Shadow. Fanfare of only 1 allied follower is in play, gain last words, summon a Castor. If you can get the effect off, it can generate a lot of value for you. But I feel like in Shadow specifically, oftentimes you have a wider board than just 1 allied follower by that point. And the fail case of this is just a 4 play.23, which is awful. So it's a bit clunky, and I don't think it's going to be that great in Shadow itself. Off of Stella, though, it's a lot more valuable, I think, because Rune has a lot better spells to supplement a lack of board state. So if you can run this and get value off of this off of Stella, you can be pretty happy with that. Scorpius, 2 play.12, Bronze for Blood. Bane, whenever this follower attacks, deal 1 damage to your leader. I think this is just good. Like, it's a cheap Bane that can just trade like a madman. Venus, gold, 5 play.45 for Forest. Fanfare, put a Harvest Festival into your hand and change its cost to 0. I remember when Harvest Festival cost 2, and it was a nightmare. Obviously, this comes down later at 5, but changing it to 0 also lets it combo with, say, Roach or however else. I think this is actually quite strong, and I'm a little scared of it. Maybe that's just like my old experiences with Harvest Festival coming back to color my thoughts here. But I mean, it gives you a 0 cost thing for your combos that helps you draw further into your deck. Yeah, this is a little scary. As Rune, it's a little strange having a Forestcraft card that gives you a Forestcraft amulet. I'm not sure how well this will fit in with Rune, but if you can use it to just dig into your deck also using Stella, then You know what, it can't be all bad. And it's also just a 5 play point 4/5, so vanilla stat line too. Yeah, this one's good. Star Phoenix, Dragon Crafts, 3 play point, gold, 2/2, rush. Last words, the next time you play a spell, put a Star Phoenix into your hand. That's super cool. I love the art, I love the effect. Next time you play a spell, so like any turn after it dies, that just keeps coming back, could be super good with Prime. In Rune especially, it's effective because you have so many spells. I like this card a lot. And then of course Andromeda, who we've already seen before. I don't think this is really the greatest one to get out of Stella, just because usually it's just a 2 play point 2/2. And you need to evolve to get the effect at all. Aether of the White Wing, Haven Legendary, 6 play point 1/3. Fanfare, randomly put one of the highest cost Havencraft followers, excluding Aether of the White Wing, that cost less than your total number of play point orbs from your deck into play, then give all other allied followers +0/+1. So it thins your deck, it puts something into play for free, and then it buffs your board. That's already pretty powerful. You can pull this with Tenko in an Alana deck. That's pretty good. Kind of hard to think about this one because there's so many possibilities that you could pull. You could also cheat out an Aegis on turn 10, but that seems really slow. But yeah, definitely a cool card and lots of possibilities here. You can even pull like a Heresy's Avatar if you want. Yeah, I think this card is super cool, super flexible, and opens up deck building options as well. So I'm a big fan. Mist of Extinction, gold Shadowcraft spell for 7 play points, destroy all enemy followers with 4 defense or less. It's kind of like a conflagration, but no damage, just a binary, does it get destroyed or not. And only to your enemy followers, so none of your stuff. I think this card is just good in controlling decks. Like, this is actually quite scary. Armor of the Stars, Swordcraft 2 play point silver spell. Give an allied follower resistance to targeted enemy spells and effects, and +0/+2. I like the idea that Swordcraft gets armor and equipment for their followers. I think that's really flavorful. I'm just not so sold on this one. Like, the effect is cool, like the not targeted and the health buff. Makes a powerful trader on board that can't easily be removed. But at the same time, it doesn't buff the attack, so it can't trade up as easily than if something like Kiss of the Princess, for example. And also doesn't go face as easily either. It seems okay, but I don't know if they can afford to run this in the 2 slot. Rampaging Mammoth, 8 play point 7/8, bronze for neutral. Then you evolve it, deals 2 damage to a random enemy follower 2 times. Yeah, this seems like an arena card. I don't think it's going to see play in Constructed. It's too heavy for a vanilla 8/7/8 for most of the time. Trial of the Gorgons, Bloodcraft, gold spell for 3 play points. Summon 2 serpents and then randomly put one of the following cards into your hand. Venomfang Medusa, Uriel, or Steno. So it's kind of like a Summon Bloodkin that gives you card advantage. I think this card is just straight up good. If Serpent decks are good, then this is going to be one of the keys to it, I think. Cetus, 9 play point 6/7, silver dragon follower. Fanfare, randomly destroy one of your opponent's lowest cost followers. It's a worse effect than Orb Dragon, and Orb Dragon has just slightly less stats. This is not going to see play. Starchaser Sprite, 4 play point 3/3, bronze for Haven. Fanfare, draw X cards, X equals the number of allied amulets in play. I'm not sold. 4 play points is usually where you want to swing the board, like with Cudgel and other effects like that. And it's situational draw and it's understated. I think if you're running a lot of amulets, you could consider running this card, but yeah, it's definitely not an auto-include. Mars, Silent Flame General, Swordcraft Commander, 3 play point 2/3. Whenever an allied Swordcraft follower comes into play, give it +0/+1, and Clash, gain +1/+0. This card is actually legit good. Like, it doesn't lose any stat points for the effect. If it survives 1 turn, it makes your next turn, like, incredibly more annoying, and a lot, like, better at trading. So it basically has, like, a soft ward, like, they have to kill it. I think this is going to be a really powerful card, especially since later on in the game, you can also just play it alongside a bunch of other followers as well. It also synergizes with Romeo, Juliet, and Round Table Assembly, so, you know, there's even more icing on the cake. Karl, Pious Instructor, Runecraft, 3 play point 2/3 silver. Fanfare, summon an Earth Essence. Whenever an allied Earth Sigil comes into play, restore 1 defense to your leader. This card is just good. It's straight up just good. It gives you an Earth Essence so you can afford to run less. It heals you. More dirt support. Doesn't lose any stats. Yeah, this one is actually just straight up good, I think. Mystic Ring, 1 play point, silver neutral spell. Banish a card in your hand. Put a card of the same name as the banished card into your deck. Draw a card. It's kind of like a 1 play point mulligan, so I really dig that. I think that's a really cool effect. Where's my Sauron card is my question now. Potentially pretty powerful. Just a neutral card draw mulligan. It also works in D-Shift to spell boost. Keep an eye on this one. Dolorblade Demon, Forestcraft, 6 play point 5/5 silver. Clash, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. It's really clunky, and I don't think it's what Forest needs at 6. It's sort of just like a Flood Behemoth, but in Forest, I don't think it's going to be played. Twilight Queen, 4 play point 4/3 for Shadow. Legendary. Last words. The next time an allied follower's last words ability activates, activate that ability 1 more time. This effect is not stackable. I think this card is just good. You can run it in a 2/4/7/8 NEP deck, synergize with Cowie, synergize with Mord, and it also doesn't dilute your NEP pool really, because you can run it in the 4 slot, kill it, and then the next time your Mord dies, it also pops, so you can either play it on curve or through Nep and get the effect either way. At 3 health, it can be banished by Haven, but regardless, I still think the effect is quite powerful, and I think this one is going to see play. Snarling Chains, Bloodcraft 2 playpoint silver spell, deal 1 damage to both leaders, then deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. Effect redundancy is super good. Control Blood's super good. I think this one could definitely see play in some builds of Control Blood. Deal 1 damage to both leaders is obviously more advantageous for the Blood than it is for the opponent, because of Vengeance. And it's a 3 damage 2 playpoint spell, so I think this one could definitely see play. Roundtable Assembly, gold, 5 playpoint spell for sword. Put 2 random commanders that cost 3 play points from your deck into play. With all the 3 play point commanders that came out in this expansion, I think this card could actually be good. It thins your deck, it puts 2 2/3s into play for less than they cost, and the stuff might have effects too. So, of course, sword is competitive at the 5 slot, so not sure if this will beat out, say, Card Knights or Albert, but you can run them in conjunction, I guess. I think this card could see play for sure. It's quite good. Beowulf, 3 play point 2/3, silver for dragon, in hand 6, destroy an enemy follower with at least 5 defense. I think in aggro dragon, this card could be okay, because it's a 3 play point 2/3 that can flexibly clear a ward. Outside of that list, though, it's usually just a worse Scyther, and if you're not running this in aggro dragon, I don't think you're running it anywhere else. Venomous Bite, Bloodcraft, bronze spell, 3 play points, deal 4 damage to an enemy follower, put a serpent to your hand. So it's another serpent card, but 3 damage, deal 4 is also just good. Blood has so much removal, and adding this to the mix for more consistency also, you can't really complain. And in a serpent deck, you could also just run this for serpents also. I think this card has a lot of applications, and I think it's just straight up good. Star Bishop, 2 play point 2/2, bronze for Haven, fanfare, restore 2 defense to another follower. Restoring defense to followers hasn't really been all that valuable compared to restoring health to yourself in most situations. I don't really think it'll see that much play, just because historically restoring defense to other followers hasn't really been that important. Fita the Gentle Elf, Forestcraft, 2 play point 2/2, bronze. Whenever this follower's attack or defense is increased by a spell or effect, draw a card. I actually like this card a lot. It's an interesting draw engine. It makes Spring Green Protection better. It makes Cybele better. And I think it's just a really interesting card design. Kind of a boon to aggro Forest. I guess it really just depends whether or not that type of deck is good. But if it is, then I think that this card is going to be one of the role players for that for sure. Series of the Night, 4 play point 1/4, gold follower for Shadowcraft. Clash, deal 2 damage to the enemy follower. At the end of your turn, restore 2 defense to your leader. I think this card is pretty dang good. Like, it heals at the end of every turn. You can evolve it and deal 5 to a thing, and it's annoying for wider boards to trade into it as well, because you can just kill off all their weenies with the Clash effect before it even takes any damage. We'll have to see how effective it is in Shadowcraft specifically, just because it sort of dilutes Nep pulls, for example, in 2, 4, 7, 8 Nep. But overall, I think the card is just quite strong. Star Priestess, 6 play point 2/3, Haven silver. Fanfare, destroy an allied follower or countdown amulet, then return it to play. So it's kind of like an Erd that doesn't work on enemy stuff, but it works on your countdown amulets. I think this card has a lot of potential. It also just gets better as more countdown amulets are released. So much value. Like, you play Arya, you play this, you pop the Arya, you get the Arya back, and can pop it again later. My only qualm about it, or my only reservation rather, is that the stat line is so weak and it doesn't have a damaging effect like Garuda does, that it's probably less good as a finisher. The weak stat line sort of gives me pause a little bit, especially since it competes so directly with our favorite Birdman. Although it is funny with Seraph. Can you imagine this with Seraph? Just play Seraph and then play this and get 2 Seraphs? I don't think that's very likely, but it's something fun to think about. And that's it! That's all the Starforged Legends cards and my initial thoughts on them. Of course, the important thing here is, what do you think? Was I wrong? Was I right? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below so we can have a sort of open discussion about the Starforged Legends cards here. Like the video if you did, don't leave it in, subscribe for more Shadowverse content and Starforged Legends hype in the very near future, and of course thank you to my wonderful patrons, patreon.com/Ignideus. If you want to help support the channel as well, I would highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.